the wisdom I sort of felt from that was that people so often want to settle for less than what God has in store for them.
Yeah.
They want to settle for less.
Yeah.
They want to rest on their laurels. They want to be comfortable.
Welcome to the Bible in 1 Year podcast, brought to you by two Brits and aBible. Today is day 56, and today we're going to be covering Numbers 33 and 34.
In Numbers 33, there's a list of the journeys and places stayed by children of Israel, and God commands Israel to take over the land of Canaan. And in Numbers 34, the Lord tells Moses the borders of the land of inheritance. One prince from each tribe of Israel is chosen to divide the land.
Nice, dude. I think you've got a good old chunk more than I do to chat about today, so crack on.
Yeah, it's just going to be my voice for like 8 of the 10 minutes here, I think. So, but anyway, so a few things I wanted to say from yesterday, actually, we didn't get time to go into from Numbers 32. So if we have found favor in your eyes, they said, let this land be given to your servants as our possession. Do not make us cross the Jordan. So a lot of the people, the Israelites, didn't want to get to the promised land. They wanted to just chill the other side of the Jordan. And I just thought that the wisdom I sort of felt from that was that people so often want to settle for less than what God has in store for them.
Yeah.
They want to settle for less.
Yeah.
They want to rest on their laurels. They want to be comfortable. That's not what God asked of us. That's not what Jesus said. He said, take up your cross and follow me, right? And that includes some struggle and hustle and hardship.
Yeah.
And I just love that. And then also, if you turn away from following him being God, he will again leave all of this people in the wilderness, and you will be the cause of their destruction. Numbers 32:15. So just the fact that we do have a choice whether to love and follow God or not. If we don't love and follow God, ultimately it is a path of destruction.
Yeah.
And that's the tragedy. So many people don't want to follow God, and if they did, then they would be out of the wilderness. And that honestly is how I have felt since becoming a Christian.
Yeah. That's really cool, man. I like that. I know that from chapter 32, what I took away from that is obviously the two tribes, I can't remember who they are now, wanted to stay the east of the Jordan because it was better for their cattle and herds and stuff. But Moses was like, nah, you need to, okay, I'll give you this land, but you have to make a vow that you still have to come and fight till the fighting's done, then you can go back. And it's just that whole making the vow and sticking to your vow, which was like perfect example of what we talked about the day before that, you know. So it's really cool. Just reminded me briefly what you were saying there about a lot of the Israelites wanted to stay where they were and be comfortable with what they have. It reminds me of them saying like, oh, can't we just go back to Egypt? I was listening to a podcast the other day, and they were saying that actually getting the Israelites out of Egypt was the easy part. It was getting Egypt out of the Israelites was the difficult part, because they still had that mindset and that settle mentality and that poverty mentality and all that kind of stuff, right? So actually I was like, that kind of resonates. I see that. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, that also links just very quickly to that struggle we were having about why kill all of the women that had slept with men, but not the virgins. And it could be that also trying to get the Midianite out of the people once they've got to that age and gone through that process or whatever to some level. Again, no clear answer, not theologians, above our pay grade, etc., etc. Okay, so on to actually stuff from today. The Israelites set out from Ramesses on the 15th day of the first month, the day after the Passover. They marched out defiantly in full view of the Egyptians. So this is obviously coming to the end of Numbers. Moses is kind of recounting everything, right? And there's just that image of, you know, what at this point I don't think it was 600,000, was it? But like hundreds of thousands of Israelite slaves all coming out in full view of the Egyptians. This enormous peaceful protest, you know, and just the fact that the bravery they would have had and just the way that would have looked. I just thought that was really cool.
Yeah, very poetic.
Very poetic, exactly. I'll skip forward just one verse to the Lord has brought judgment on their gods, Numbers 33:4. I just put when I put that down. And and then I actually was coincidentally watching a video of R.C. Sproul, who is one of my favorite sort of apologists and Christian speakers, absolute legend. And he was just talking about just because it says things like the Lord brought judgment on their gods doesn't mean that there are other gods that actually exist. It's anthropopapism, which I've talked about before, or R.C. Sproul called it anthropomorphic language or anthropocentric language. So yeah, like it's just a way for the infinite knowledge and mind of God to try to be translated to the people in Bronze Age Middle Earth that would have been reading this.
Yeah. Anyone that's just tuned into this episode and not seen the backstory to Bronze Age Middle Earth will be thoroughly shocked and confused, but go back and listen to some more.
Yeah, exactly. Please do. And then, I also just wanted to talk about drive out all the inhabitants of the land before you. This is as God is telling the people, obviously, to take Canaan, destroy all their carved images, cast their idols, and demolish all their high places. For me, it's this righteous anger that linked to Jesus turning over the tables in the temple.
Yeah.
And it was only fairly recently that I realized that he even fashioned a whip as he was there to to be whipping and driving people out of this area. So, obviously Jesus is 100% sinless. It's a righteous anger that he displays. And this here is, again, that same soul of God, so to speak, that righteous anger, that perfect.
Yeah. I think it was Stephen Furtick, the pastor, who had a whole series called Badass Jesus or Badass God or something like that, and stuff like that's in it, where it's like, he ain't some softie, he's hardcore. So that's cool. One of the things that I liked in Numbers 33, when it's in 55 and 56, basically saying if you don't drive them out, they will become barbs in your eyes, thorn in your sides. Another one says about it being a splinter in your foot, basically. And my wife Melody, she's had a epoxy splinter in her foot from when I was doing all the work up here, and she came out without slippers on, which I didn't advise. But mate, that kind of language, it just makes it real. It brings it to life, because that thing is something you're constantly living with. It's constantly niggling at you and annoying you. It's not necessarily paralyzing you, but it's just how much easier would life be without this. So I love the visualization of that.
That actually completely on the fly here. I hadn't thought of this before recording, but the whole thing of Paul praying to God to remove the thorn from his side, right?
Yeah.
And how, it's that same sort of imagery and that same sort of concept. I love that.
Yeah.
As for Numbers 34, I'll be honest, I just hope that there's a map somewhere of the division of the land, or just maps to visualize this. That's what I was hoping.
So, okay, I don't have a map of the division of the land, but for those of you on YouTube that spotted this over my shoulder, I have a full map here of the course of the Exodus. So it breaks it down. I'm just, rather than holding that up, I'm going to pop up a decent little image. But it breaks down where they actually took the entire route of the 40 years. It doesn't break down the areas of Canaan. I can probably find that at a later date. But it just breaks it down and gives that, it makes it real. Again, you're seeing Egypt, you're seeing the Red Sea, and like all these things that's still modern day, like geographical places, really, isn't it? And so to be able to see it, like, wow, okay, I'd love to visit places like that one day and like walk the kind of route that Jesus walked and all that stuff, man. It'd be badass.
100%.
Hanging. One thing that I liked in here in Numbers 34, it's Moses sort of delegating and making sure everything's done right. It's like he's still keeping his head in the game, he knows that he's not going to be the one that's going to be leading them into the promised land, but it's not like he's given in his 2 weeks notice and he's like, I'm checked out at that stage. He's still invested, still making sure it's done right and done properly, and it's just big old respect to him for that.
That needs to link to something as I was driving to church this morning, I felt very strongly that God's presence was with me. And Colossians 3:23, which is not a scripture that I knew very well or anything previously, but it was this idea of don't work as if you're working for men, work as if you're working for God, working for me. And that right there links beautifully to Colossians 3:23.
Love it. Sweet. Well, you know what? Unless you got something else to add?
Nope.
Kushti, well, we love you all. Please engage with us, Insta at 2 Brits and aBible.
And please consider liking and subscribing to help spread the word of God. Sweet, man. That was perfect timing as well.